Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. So much to get into. The Pirates give up a record 21 runs in one game, yet they have a successful weekend, winning 3 of 4. We'll get into that. The Penguins with a bad showing today at a very bad time. We'll break that down, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be draft week. It's finally here, and after months of speculation and all these sorts of rumors and whatever, we can actually talk about what we might expect on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And here to do that is the guys going to be the talkers tonight. And that would be Will Graves from the Associated Press. Below him is Jeff Hathhorn at 93.7 The Fan and Josh Yohe from The Athletic. So I'm going to start with you, Jeff Hathhorn. Under what circumstance would the Steelers take a quarterback in the first round?
Under the circumstance that one they like falls to them. I know that's very simplistic. But I think if they find Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, or if they like Desmond Ridder, I know he's coming on late. It's like that horse in the Derby that's, you know, pushing down the home stretch. I think if they have one of those quarterbacks in mind, they'll take him. They have other needs. They don't have to go and just look for a quarterback. They have other positions that are going to fall to them at 20. But I think if one of those quarterbacks fall at 20, I don't think they're going to go hunting for one.
Well,
I mean, Pomp, my problem is, look, Kevin Colbert has been very effusive in his praise that this draft doesn't have a lot of quantity, but it has a lot of quality. Do you really look at this draft and look at any of these guys and think of them as franchise saviors?
No.
I do not see that. So why waste a 20th round overall pick on a guy that you don't really sure is the guy? You know, I mean, there's no Dan Rooney to say, hey, we got to take this guy. I don't see a Ben Roethlisberger out of this group. And the problem is, if you draft them with that first round moniker, that's going to follow them forever. So I just don't see that. You know, for me, if Devontae Wyatt is there, that's obviously a position of need. The kid from Georgia, they need help on the defensive line. They've got 2 quarterbacks that might be pretty good. The next year's draft class looks better. If I'm the Steelers, I draft for need on the defensive line, and let's see what happens, what's available in 2023 for us.
Josh?
Yeah, I agree, guys. You know, let's be honest. They're not in a position where it would be real wise to give up a ton of draft capital and trade way up the board for a guy who is not the sure thing. There's no Peyton Manning in this draft. We know that. And as Will alluded to, next year's quarterback class, and granted it's still a year away, looks to be a heck of a lot better. You cannot ignore that. The Steelers have plenty of other holes. They're in a pretty good spot, though, right now at 20, I think. They've had a good offseason in that they have signed guys all over the board at different positions. They don't have a glaring need other than defensive line, perhaps, and maybe they have a better idea with what's going on with Stephon Tuitt than we do. I would hope that they do. That might be where they should focus, but I don't think they're going to take a quarterback in the first round. And I don't think they should trade up to do it. It just doesn't make much sense to me when you look at where they are as a franchise right
They can
now.
always do something a little later in the draft just to, you know, have another guy in, and they may find somebody later that they think can turn into something. Who knows? But I agree with you guys. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be interesting to see a guy like Pickett or Willis there and what they do. Wide receiver is a position that is certainly in need. They brought in Miles Boykin, but I'm not sure what to expect from him, Jeff. They have 2 guys who are going to be looking at contract extensions. So, what would you do with Deontay Johnson long term, and would you take a #1 pick as a wide receiver if one is there that you like?
Yeah, you know, if Williams falls down or even Chris Olave falls down, and I've seen that he's been slotted around 20 a lot, I absolutely would take a receiver in the first round because you get that 5th year of control. What we're seeing is that the cost of receivers is skyrocketing. So if you can have one under control for 5 years because you drafted them in the first round, I think that's a big advantage. I would absolutely look. As for Deontay, I mean, you got to pay somebody. If you look at the numbers and just study the numbers, his numbers are very comparable with everybody but Deebo Samuel when you look at guys that are getting new contracts. Would I pay him $25 million? No. But if it's around $17, $18 million, I'd pay Deontay Johnson.
I mean, look, guys, they already have their next star receiver on the roster. His name is Pat Freiermuth. So, I mean, I just do not see a need to go in the first round to get – I mean, if somebody falls, that's fine. But I just – you know, I think Freiermuth is maybe the next guy for them. I really do. I believe he might be even better than Heath Miller. I can't believe I'm saying that. I think that, you know, my preference, again, defensive line. If they need Even if Tua comes back, Alu is going to be 35 here in a month. They need help there. The future, Cam is in his mid-30s. Cam is playing at a high level. It's not going to last forever as much as I love that guy. Okay, so for me, you got to shore up the defense. I really think that Freiermuth can evolve into one of those super, I mean, I'm talking like 80, 90 catch guys. I legit believe that. So for me, you don't need a wide receiver as far as Deontay goes. If you can get him on the cheap-ish, I would do it.
I understand the temptation to draft a receiver, but when I look at the Steelers, they were so weak on the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively last season, and really the last couple of years. To me, that's the obvious area of need. And I know they spent some money in free agency on the offensive line. Would it be the worst thing ever if they took another offensive lineman in the first couple of rounds? I don't know that it would be, because that was a historically bad group the last couple of years. We can't ignore that. And as for the receivers, I like Deontay Johnson. I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a really good player. I'd sign him for the right price, certainly not 20+ million. My real question with the wide receiver group for the Steelers, what is Chase Claypool? Is he going to be a big-time impact player, or is he the guy last year who was so disappointing? Nobody's talking about him right now. He might be the guy who makes it or breaks that Steelers wide receiver core.
Yeah, we'll have a lot more watching him over this year. He has a lot to play for. They all do in terms of money. When we come back, we'll do some rapid fire on topics like what to do with Devin Bush, fifth-year option coming up, and do they need another running back to take some of the pressure off Najee Harris? We'll find out. That's all coming up. Plus, we'll do some Penguins and everything else related to the Pirates. All next, right here. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown on KDKA-TV.